I've been married to Lisa for 5 years, and I thought we were in a good place. Sure, we had our arguments, what couple does, but lately something just felt off. Little things started to nag at me. Lisa was getting home later from work, often claiming she was stuck in meetings or had to run errands. The way she avoided eye contact when discussing her day felt like a red flag waving in my face. I brushed it off for weeks, convincing myself that I was just being paranoid. But then things took a turn. A few weeks ago, I found a strange message on her phone. I picked it up to ask her about something else, and there it was, a message from a guy named Mark. It was innocuous enough, but there was an underlying flirtation that made my stomach churn. I'd seen that name pop up before, but I never thought much of it. He was just a coworker, I reasoned. Yet here I was, staring at something that felt like an icy dagger plunging into my gut. When I confronted her about it, Lisa laughed it off, claiming I was being controlling and paranoid. You know how guys are, they just joke around, she said, waving her hand dismissively. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to it than just a harmless chat. Still, I didn't have any real proof, just a hunch and a growing pit of dread in my stomach. Then I made a discovery that would change everything. Last Sunday, while cleaning the house, I noticed a small, shiny object nestled in the corner of our bedroom. At first, I thought it was just a leftover piece of jewelry. But as I picked it up and examined it, I realized it was a recording device, a bug. My heart raced as the pieces started to click into place. All those times Lisa had claimed I was controlling her. She was the one controlling the narrative, feeding it back to someone else, perhaps Mark. I felt sick. My mind swirled with confusion and disbelief. I had trusted her completely, and here she was, tracking my every move. I decided right then that I needed to confront her. This wasn't about me being controlling. This was about betrayal. When I confronted Lisa that evening, I was shaking with a mix of anger and hurt. Lisa, what is this? I held up the recording device, my voice trembling. She looked at me with feigned innocence, the kind that made my blood boil. What's that supposed to be? She shot back, a defensive edge creeping into her tone. A bug, Lisa, in our bedroom. You were spying on me. I could feel my heartbeat thudding in my ears, the adrenaline coursing through my veins as a wave of emotion washed over me. She laughed again, a sharp, humorless sound that echoed in the silence of our bedroom. You're being ridiculous. That's not what you think it is. Her eyes darted away from mine like a child caught in a lie. I pressed on, needing answers. Then what is it? Are you having an affair? I could feel the air thickening with the weight of my accusations. Her facade started to crack, but she managed to maintain her composure, at least on the surface. Of course not. You're just projecting your insecurities onto me. I told you I'm busy with work. As I watched her squirm, anger bubbled up from deep within me. I had never seen this side of her. The dismissive, cold wall she was putting up. It felt like I was talking to a stranger. I never thought Lisa could be capable of this level of deceit, and the realization hit me like a freight train. I decided then and there that I would not let her manipulate me. I took a deep breath, trying to regain some semblance of control over my emotions. I deserve better than this, Lisa. You need to come clean. She opened her mouth to respond, but I could see the panic in her eyes. I had thrown her off balance, and for the first time it felt like she was the one who was afraid. The tension hung in the air like a thick fog, and I knew that whatever happened next would determine the course of our future. It was going to be a long and painful night ahead. The silence that followed my confrontation felt suffocating. I watched as Lisa's expression shifted from defiance to something almost vulnerable, though she masked it quickly. You're being ridiculous, John, she repeated, her voice strained. You don't trust me, and that's the real problem here. Trust, I scoffed, feeling the injustice of it all surged through me. You're the one who had a bug in our bedroom. How can you even talk about trust? She rolled her eyes, the familiar bratty gesture that used to annoy me but now felt like a slap in the face. You always twist things around. It's always about you, isn't it? I just wanted to talk to the therapist about how controlling you are. The mention of the therapist made my stomach churn. I had agreed to couples therapy believing it would help us communicate better and strengthen our bond. Instead, it felt like Lisa was using it as a weapon against me, spinning our sessions to make me look like the bad guy. So you think bugging our bedroom is the answer. You think I wouldn't notice. She shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. I was trying to figure out how to deal with you. I didn't mean for it to get out of hand. Get out of hand, I echoed incredulously. This isn't a trivial argument over dinner plans, Lisa. This is about loyalty, honesty, and trust. You are spying on me. The weight of her actions felt like a physical blow, each word cutting deeper than the last. She crossed her arms, the defensive posture making her seem even more closed off. You're being unreasonable. I'm just trying to protect myself from your outbursts. You've been so controlling lately. I wanted to scream, to shake her until she understood how ridiculous her twisted logic was. How is it controlling to want honesty in our marriage? You're the one lying to me. The argument escalated, each of us throwing out accusations like weapons. I felt seething anger rise within me, mixed with a profound sadness. I was losing the woman I once loved, the one I thought I could trust. I had no idea how we had reached this point, but it felt like a chasm had opened between us, a wound that was too deep to heal. After an exhausting back and forth, Lisa finally broke down. Fine, I'll admit it. I've been talking to Mark, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. But it's not what you think. We're just friends. Friends? I scoffed. Do friends flirt? Do friends send each other text messages that make it sound like you're more than friends? The betrayal tasted bitter, and I could feel my heart racing. She hesitated, the truth evident in her eyes. I was confused. You've been so distant, and her voice trailed off, the excuses falling flat. Confused, I interrupted. Confused enough to betray our marriage. How is that even a valid excuse? I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did, she muttered, her words failing to justify her actions. At that moment, I wasn't just angry, I was heartbroken. The woman I thought I knew was slipping away, and the realization hit me hard. All those moments we had shared now felt tainted by deceit. The laughter, the intimacy, the dreams we had built together, they all seemed like fragile glass, shattering under the weight of her infidelity. I can't believe this is happening, I said, my voice shaking. You're telling me that you've been talking to him behind my back, lying to me about everything, and somehow I'm the bad guy. I've been nothing but loyal to you. She looked away, the tears swimming in her eyes. I know, and I'm sorry, but you need to understand how I felt. You've changed so much over the past few months. I felt like I was losing you, losing me. My voice rose again, a mixture of anger and sorrow. You were the one pushing me away. You couldn't even trust me enough to talk about what was bothering you. Instead, you decided to cheat. The pain of it all was almost too much to bear. My heart felt heavy as I took a shaky breath, trying to process what was happening. Do you love him? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, fearing the answer. She paused, and in that silence I found my answer. The weight of her betrayal hung between us like a dark cloud, and I knew that the woman I loved might already be gone. I felt lost, not just in my marriage but in my own identity. Everything had changed, and I was left standing in the wreckage of a life I thought I understood. As the evening stretched on, the silence between us grew thicker, suffocating. I didn't know how we could move forward from this point. All I felt was a mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal. I had to make a decision, but in that moment I could barely think straight. I needed to process what had just happened. I needed space to figure out what path I would take next. And deep down, I knew it wouldn't be easy. I spent that night in a haze of confusion, moving mechanically through the motions of getting ready for bed. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw images of Lisa and Mark together, laughing, sharing secrets, perhaps even being intimate in ways that were once reserved for me. It felt like my own mind was betraying me, and I had to fight against it. I needed clarity, but all I felt was a suffocating sense of loss. The next morning was a painful reminder that life continues, even when your heart feels shattered. I woke up to find Lisa already gone. She had left for work without saying goodbye. It stung, the emptiness of our home echoing the void in my heart. I sat at the breakfast table, staring at the untouched coffee and toast. The aroma of the coffee usually brought me comfort, but today it just felt bitter. As the hours dragged on, my mind raced with thoughts of what I should do next. I didn't want to confront her again without some sort of plan. I felt like I needed to regain control over my life, something I hadn't felt since discovering the bug in her affair. It was time to gather evidence to protect myself. I pulled up Mark's social media profiles and began to dig deeper, looking for any clues. I found enough to confirm my suspicions: photos of Lisa and Mark together at work events, casual outings, and comments filled with flirtation. Each click felt like being stabbed again and again. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall in rage. Instead, I took screenshots, documenting everything I could find. Maybe I could use this information to leverage a better outcome, whether that meant reconciliation or a clean break. As I sat there, my fingers tapping furiously on the screen, I felt a flicker of determination. I couldn't just wallow in self-pity. I had to take action. I was done being the victim in this scenario. I decided to confront Lisa again, but this time with clear evidence in hand. I needed to show her that I wouldn't let her manipulate me any longer. That evening when she walked through the door, I was ready. I had set the stage like a courtroom, armed with the evidence I had gathered. "We need to talk," I said sharply, my voice steady though my heart raced. "What now?" she replied, her tone laced with annoyance. She had the audacity to sound irritated, and I felt a rush of anger. "Sit down." I motioned to the chair at the dining table, and she reluctantly complied, her expression shifting from irritation to curiosity. I laid my phone on the table, displaying the photos of her and Mark. "Care to explain this?" I asked, keeping my voice steady, though I could feel the heat rising inside me. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widening. "Where did you get those?" she asked, her voice now shaky. Clearly, she hadn't anticipated this confrontation. "That's not the point, Lisa. The point is you've been lying to me. It's all right here." I gestured towards the evidence, emphasizing the betrayal woven into every image. "You said it was just a friendship. Is this what friends do?" Her expression shifted from shock to defensiveness. "You're stalking me. This is insane. You've gone too far. You're the one who's controlling." "Controlling?" I shot back, incredulity flooding my system. "You think I'm controlling for wanting honesty, for wanting to know who you're spending your time with? You're the one who chose to betray our trust, not me." "John, I'm not having an affair." She tried to salvage the situation, but her voice wavered. It's complicated. We've been distant." "You don't understand," I interrupted, unwilling to let her deflect. "No, you don't understand. I trusted you, Lisa. I thought we were building a life together, and you went behind my back, playing both sides." Her defenses crumbled, and she looked genuinely scared. "I never meant for it to get this far. I was confused. I thought if I could just escape for a little while, I didn't think it would turn into this." "Escape?" My voice dripped with betrayal. "You think running to another man is an escape? You should have come to me and talked about it. Instead, you chose to deceive me." Tears filled her eyes, but I was done with pity. "I can't keep doing this, Lisa. I can't keep living in a relationship where I'm not sure who I'm sharing my life with. Please, don't say that. You have to believe me," she pleaded, her voice cracking. "I made a mistake, but I love you. I want to fix this." "Love?" I echoed, feeling a bitter laugh bubble up. "You've betrayed me with this guy for weeks, and now you're saying you love me. It doesn't work that way." The air in the room felt heavy with tension and unspoken words. I could see her crumbling, the tough facade she had put on for so long beginning to slip away. "I don't know what to do," she admitted, her voice almost a whisper now. "I can't lose you." The truth was, I didn't know what to do either. The emotions swirling inside me were overwhelming: pain, anger, confusion, and a flicker of longing for the love we once shared. I wanted to believe that we could piece things back together, but I also felt that trust had been irreparably broken. In that moment, I realized I had a decision to make. I could either try to salvage what was left of our marriage or walk away and reclaim my own life. As I looked at Lisa, I saw not just the woman I loved, but a stranger who had betrayed me. I felt lost, but I knew I had to choose a path forward. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on my chest. I felt like I was standing at a crossroads, with one path leading back to a relationship fraught with pain and betrayal, and the other heading toward the unknown. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my racing heart. "Lisa," I began, my voice steady but low, "I need you to be completely honest with me right now. Are you still in contact with Mark? She hesitated, and in that brief moment I could see the internal struggle playing out in her eyes. No, she finally said, her voice trembling. I ended things with him. I realized it was a mistake. Realized it was a mistake. I repeated, feeling anger flare up again. You should have realized that before you let it go this far. You don't get to just erase what you've done. It's not that simple. I know, she said, tears now streaming down her cheeks. I hurt you and I can't take it back, but I want to work on this. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right. Her plea struck a chord deep within me. I thought back to the years we had shared, all the laughter, the dreams, and the love that had once felt so genuine. Did I really want to throw it all away because of one mistake? Could I forgive her and rebuild what we once had? But then I remembered the bug, the lies, and the way she had treated me during our confrontation. It was hard to reconcile that with the woman who was now begging for another chance. How can I trust you again? I asked, the vulnerability in my question raw and exposed. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. I'll stop seeing Mark. I'll go to therapy on my own. I'll be transparent with everything, she offered, her voice pleading. I could see the sincerity in her eyes, and despite everything, a small part of me wanted to believe her, but that part was overshadowed by a stronger feeling of betrayal. You want me to just forget about it, to act like it didn't happen? I asked, my voice rising again. No, I don't expect you to just forget. I know it's going to take time and I'm willing to do the work, she insisted. Time, I echoed, feeling the bitterness seep into my tone. Time isn't going to erase the memories of you with another man. It's not going to change how I feel right now. You have to understand that. She nodded, her expression shifting from desperation to determination. I know I can't change what I did, but I want to change how we move forward. I love you, John. I want to fix this. The room fell silent as I considered my options. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to express all the hurt and anger I felt. The other part of me, the part that still loved her, felt an overwhelming urge to give her another chance. I realized that I was at a breaking point, not just in our relationship, but in my own understanding of love and forgiveness. I need time to think, I finally said, the words feeling heavy on my tongue. I can't make a decision right now, especially not after everything that's happened. I need space. Space, she echoed, her voice trembling. You can't be serious. I'll do anything to show you I'm committed to making this work. I know you want to, but I can't just ignore the pain you've caused. I need to process all of this on my own. I won't jump into a decision just because you're asking me to. Tears continued to flow down her cheeks as she nodded, understanding my need for distance. Okay, she said softly, I'll give you space, but please don't shut me out completely. I'm willing to fight for us. I watched as she gathered her things and headed for the door, her shoulders slumped in defeat. It felt like a part of me was leaving with her, and the void she left behind was palpable. I could hear her footsteps fading down the hallway, and I suddenly felt incredibly lonely. After she left, I sat in silence, surrounded by the remnants of our life together. The walls felt like they were closing in on me, filled with memories of happier times. I needed to distract myself, so I picked up my phone and looked at the evidence I had collected. The images of her with Mark felt like poison, and I deleted them one by one, trying to purge the bitterness from my mind. But even as I deleted the pictures, the memories lingered. I thought about how I could possibly move forward. The trust was broken, and we were standing on shaky ground. I thought back to what Lisa had said about going to therapy alone. Could that really help? Would I be able to find a way back to the love we once had? In the days that followed, I went through the motions of life, but the lightness was gone. I returned to work, but my mind would drift back to Lisa and the love we once shared. I missed her presence, but the void created by her betrayal was suffocating. I began to wonder if it was possible to rebuild trust, or if the damage was too great. At night, I found myself staring at the ceiling, thoughts racing through my mind. Could I truly forgive her? What would it take for our marriage to heal? The questions hung over me like a dark cloud, and I realized that I had to make a decision soon. As I lay there, wrestling with my thoughts, I knew one thing for certain. Even if I wanted to reconcile, it would require both of us to change. I just needed to figure out if I was ready to take that leap of faith, or if it was time to let go and start anew. Days turned into a week, and the space I had requested from Lisa felt more like a chasm. We hadn't spoken since our confrontation, and every time I thought about reaching out, a wave of anger and betrayal washed over me. I missed her in some ways, our late-night talks, our inside jokes, but the memories were tinged with the bitterness of what I now knew. The love I had for her was still there, but it was tangled up in pain and mistrust. During that week, I focused on myself. I spent time with friends, trying to mask the turmoil swirling inside me with laughter and distractions. I went for long runs, letting the physical exertion drown out the emotional noise in my head. In the evenings, I would sit with a glass of whiskey, staring at the wall and contemplating what I wanted for my future. I even took time to revisit our couple's therapy homework. The last session was a blur, with Lisa's betrayal hanging heavy in the air. I opened up the journal where we had written down our goals for the relationship. I had originally envisioned a bright future together, but now those goals felt like distant dreams. One evening after a long run, I returned home to find a note slipped under the door. It was from Lisa. My heart raced as I picked it up and began to read. "John," it started, "I know you need space, but I can't just sit back and let you decide everything for us. I'm so sorry for what I did. I want to fight for us. I miss you so much. Can we please meet to talk? I'll do whatever it takes. I love you." As I read her words, I felt a familiar tug on my heartstrings. The longing for connection battled against the hurt she caused, and I found myself torn yet again. Part of me wanted to reach out to give her another chance, while the other part warned me to guard my heart. After an internal debate that lasted hours, I decided to reply. I needed to see her, to confront her again, but I also needed to keep my guard up. I texted her, suggesting we meet at a local cafe where we often went together. "Let's meet tomorrow at noon. We can talk. But I need you to be honest with me." I sent, my fingers trembling over the screen. The following day arrived, and I found myself packing nervously at the cafe. I arrived early, needing time to collect my thoughts. The little bell above the door jingled as Lisa entered, looking nervous yet hopeful. My heart sank at the sight of her red eyes, the remnants of tears clearly visible. "Hey," she said softly, approaching me. I could see the weight of guilt pressing down on her shoulders. "Hey," I replied, trying to keep my tone neutral. "Let's sit." We settled into a small booth, the air thick with tension. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the conversation ahead. "So, what do you want to say?" "I want to apologize," she began, her voice trembling. "What I did was unforgivable, and I can't express how deeply sorry I am. I know I hurt you, and I never meant to cause such pain." I looked at her, searching for sincerity in her eyes. "You say that, but it's hard for me to reconcile your words with your actions." "I know," she replied, tears pooling in her eyes. "I can't take back what I did, but I want to make it right. I registered for therapy, and I'm working on myself. I realize now how much I took you for granted." "Therapy?" I echoed, surprised. "You didn't mention that before." "I didn't want to overwhelm you, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. I need to understand why I let things get so out of control. I want to be a better partner for you," she explained, her voice steadying as she spoke. I took a moment to process her words. Part of me wanted to believe her, to hope that this was the turning point we both needed. "What about Mark?" I asked, trying to gauge the seriousness of her commitment. "I've cut ties with him. It was a mistake to get involved with him in the first place, and I see that now," she said earnestly. "I want to focus on us. I miss the connection we had, and I want to rebuild that trust." Her sincerity hit me like a wave, but I was still afraid to let myself get swept away. "Rebuilding trust is going to take time, Lisa. It won't happen overnight. I understand. I'm willing to put in the work. I'll do whatever it takes. I love you, John," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I still love you too," I admitted quietly, the truth spilling out before I could catch it. "But love isn't always enough to fix things. I need to know that you're serious about this." "I am. I'll prove it to you," she said, her voice firm now. "I don't want to lose you. I can't imagine my life without you." I searched her eyes for the truth, for a glimmer of hope amidst the shadows of our reality. "Then we have to take this slow. There can't be any more secrets, no more lies. I need to see that you're committed to this." "I promise," she said, reaching across the table to hold my hand. I hesitated for a moment, feeling the warmth of her touch, but I allowed her to take my hand, a small gesture of hope. "Let's start with clear communication," I suggested, my voice steadier than before. "We can work through this together, but it's going to take both of us being completely honest." "Absolutely," she agreed, squeezing my hand tighter. "I'm ready to show you that I mean it." As we sat there talking through our feelings and fears, I felt a flicker of hope emerge. It was fragile, but it was there. I knew it wouldn't be easy and that the path ahead would be rocky, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were both willing to fight for our marriage. We left the cafe with a renewed sense of purpose, both understanding the journey ahead wouldn't be easy. But as we walked together hand in hand, I felt a mixture of anxiety and optimism. Could we truly rebuild what had been shattered? Only time would tell, but I was ready to try, if she was ready to do the same. The weeks following our cafe meeting felt like a roller coaster ride. Each day was filled with new challenges, conversations, and moments of vulnerability. I found myself navigating a minefield of emotions, from anger to forgiveness, and at times back to fear. Lisa was committed to her therapy, and I could see her making an effort to be more open and communicative. But the scars of betrayal were still fresh, and doubt often crept in when I least expected it. We started attending couples therapy again, and it felt like we were peeling back layers of hurt and misunderstanding. I found myself grappling with the memories of her betrayal, while she was learning to understand the roots of her own actions. In those sessions, we learned about the importance of vulnerability, honesty, and rebuilding trust, not just in each other but in ourselves. One evening, after a particularly intense therapy session, we came home feeling emotionally drained. We sat on the couch, the silence hanging heavily between us. "Do you think we can really fix this?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I want to believe we can," Lisa replied, a hint of uncertainty in her tone. "I know it's going to take time, but I'm committed to doing this. I love you, John. I want to build a future together." Those words hit me hard, a mixture of relief and fear swirling within me. "Love isn't always enough, though," I reminded her. "We have to back it up with actions." "I know," she said, "and I'm trying. I want to show you that I can be the partner you deserve, the one who supports you rather than pushes you away." As we navigated this uncharted territory, there were days when I felt hopeful, and others when the weight of doubt threatened to pull me under. I still struggled with flashbacks of her with Mark, and I had to remind myself that I couldn't let the past dictate our present. I focused on the progress we were making, no matter how small. One night, we decided to have a date night at home, something we had done frequently before everything fell apart. We cooked dinner together, laughed over burnt garlic bread, and reminisced about our early years, when everything felt simpler and more innocent. As the evening wore on, we cuddled on the couch, and I could feel the warmth of her body next to mine, a comfort I had missed for so long. "John," she said softly, breaking the comfortable silence, "thank you for giving us a chance. I know I messed up, but I'm determined to make it right. I don't want to lose you." I turned to look at her, the sincerity in her eyes stirring something deep within me. "I don't want to lose you either," I admitted. "But we both have a lot of work to do. It's not going to be easy." "I'm aware," she replied, her voice steady, "but I'm ready to put in the effort. I realize now that I need to be honest with you about everything going on in my life, no more secrets." "Good," I said, a flicker of hope igniting within me. "I need to know I can trust you again. That starts with open communication." As the weeks turned into months, we continued to attend therapy, both individually and together. Slowly but surely, we began to rebuild our foundation. Trust, once shattered, began to be mended, brick by brick. We worked on our communication, learned to express our needs and frustrations without anger, and started to navigate the complexities of our relationship with a newfound understanding. It wasn't without struggles. There were days when I felt the dark shadows of doubt creeping back in, and moments when Lisa would falter, overwhelmed by guilt. But through it all, we learned to lean on each other rather than away from one another. The more we talked, the more we discovered just how much we had both been hurting, and how much we still loved each other. One day, as we sat in therapy, our counselor asked us to reflect on our journey. "What have you both learned through this experience?" she prompted. I looked at Lisa, taking her hand in mine. I've learned that trust is earned, not given. I've had to confront my own insecurities and realize that love doesn't mean blind trust. It means understanding and mutual respect. Lisa nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. For me, I've realized how important it is to be honest, not just with John, but with myself. I've learned that running away from my problems only leads to more pain, and I need to face my fears instead of hiding. As we left the session that day, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. We had come a long way, and while we still had a journey ahead, I felt hopeful for the first time in a long time. We were not out of the woods yet, but we were walking the path together. I had learned that love isn't just about the good times. It's about facing the storms together, forging through the pain, and emerging stronger on the other side. Our relationship was evolving, transforming into something deeper and more honest than I had ever imagined. In reflecting on this experience, I realized that life is unpredictable, and sometimes the hardest moments can lead to growth and healing. I learned that forgiveness is a choice, a difficult one, but one worth making if both partners are willing to fight for their love. As I looked over at Lisa, her smile lighting up the room, I knew we were on the right path. Whatever the future held, we would face it together, and for now, that was enough.